welcome to episode 26 of Sooner Girl Sports Pod. And if you notice, I'm in a little different setting today. I have been out of town visiting my best friend Karen in Texas, and I am recording at her apartment. And we actually recorded the very first episode of Crimson Chronicles, which I have mentioned before. It's my new fan series that is starting. First episode will be with her on July 23rd. And I recorded it with her this weekend, and I'm super excited for you guys to hear it. I am highlighting OU fans that are Sooner born or Sooner bred. And for Karen, she was Sooner bred, and she said the house that Larissa built. I made her the Sooner fan that she is today, so I'm excited for you guys to hear that story from her in a couple of weeks. But for today, I have been so excited for this episode because it is the amazing, the voice of Oklahoma Sooners, Toby Rowland. I cannot thank him enough for giving me time to come on the podcast and share his story with us and just talk to him. And I truly enjoy visiting with him. He is truly the kindest man. I have met him a couple of times in person before, and he is just always so kind. And I cannot thank him enough again for giving me part of his time and also just for being an amazing person. And I wish him nothing but the best on his new adventure with News 9 that just started on July 1st. He is still the voice of the Sooners for football, men's basketball, and baseball, but he is no longer doing his radio show on KREF in the mornings with TJ, as most of you know by now, but he is the new sports director for News 9 out of Oklahoma City. So, and we do talk a little bit about that on the show. So I want to give a short intro, even though he needs no intro whatsoever, to Toby Rowland, the voice of the Oklahoma Sooners. As I said, the new News 9 sports director. He was born a Sooner fan. His favorite memory is watching the 1985 national championship, our football team. We talk a little bit about his new job adventure. And I did see something really funny online the other day where he was talking about how his favorite post-game dessert are Reese's Pieces. So somebody get that man some Reese's Pieces to keep up in that press box. And also he said that he does not like to eat at restaurants with the word Texas or Longhorn in the title. And if that's not a true Sooner, I don't know what is. So you can find Toby on Instagram at Sooner Voice and on Twitter /X at TROOU. And again, without further ado, please welcome the amazing voice of the Sooners, Toby Rowland. Well, I like your hat, the throwback logo. That's awesome.
Thank you. I like this one.
That's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Toby, for joining me. I truly can't thank you enough because I feel like I might fangirl just a little bit. I have met you in person very briefly before. I don't know if you recall, but Bedlam Baseball in Norman, I think 2 years ago.
Okay, yeah.
I had messaged you on Instagram. My husband is actually an OSU grad.
Right.
And so we have a Bedlam room. That's where I am currently sitting. And we have a lot of OSU and OU memorabilia. And so I said, I need that spotter board. And so I got that, and I got a photo with you with that. And you were so kind. So
Good.
I truly appreciate you always being kind.
Oh, my pleasure.
When I've seen you out and about. So I can't
thank
you enough.
Me too. No, I'm looking forward to it.
So I saw this morning on Twitter, you shared the poll where people were voting for Team A and Team B and all the athletes. And that was a hard pick, I have to say.
Yeah.
But it looks like Team B overwhelmingly won.
Right.
And I mean, to be honest, I probably would have chose Team B because Jossie and Baker were on Team B. But Maggie Nichols? But I mean,
I know.
This is hard. That was a hard. I don't know. Why'd you do that
We've
to us?
been blessed. We've been blessed. It's our, on the radio show, we've done daily drafts through the years. And the radio show's ending, so we decided to do one final daily draft today of the top OU players of the last 21 and a half years, which is how long we've been on the air.
Yes.
So we've been blessed as Sooner fans of just the incredible talent. I mean, the people that didn't make that, 10 that were chosen are incredible.
Yes.
It's a lot of fun to be a Sooner fan, as you know.
Boy, it certainly is. I would not trade it for anything, even on the bad days. You're not going to catch me in any orange. So you and TJ have been on the radio, you said 21 and a half years. That's crazy. And I know I was actually on the beach in St. Thomas back in February when you guys announced your big announcement and everything going on. And of course, I'm so happy for you. I'm excited. I grew up watching Bill and Dean.
Yeah.
Back in the day on Channel 9. So I know you're going to be fantastic in taking over for Dean.
Thank you.
But I'm excited for you for that. But I know it's a big change for us radio listeners. I'm not an everyday listener, but I am a frequent listener, or maybe go back and listen to the podcast part. But yeah, it's going to be a big change in that. But Chris Plank, he's a good friend of mine. I actually had him on my show earlier. We did a little softball recap. So anyway, I'm so excited for him to move up to that earlier spot. And I think it'll be a good transition. But I'm sure that was a hard decision for you to make.
It really was. First off, I've loved doing the show. TJ I'm not just kidding. He's a dear, dear friend. Yeah. And it has become just part of our lives. It's been over 2 decades that Dad gets up every morning and does the show. And my boys are now 27 and 25 and married and have babies.
Gosh, yes.
And when I first started the show, I remember several mornings I would take them with me because my wife had to work or whatever. I'd take them with me to the radio station. We'd stop and we'd get McDonald's big breakfasts.
Yes.
And they would sit on the ground at the radio station. I'd have to, during commercial breaks, I'd have to get on to them because they were getting too rambunctious. And now they're 27 and 25 and have their own kids. That's how long we've been doing this. So that was hard, but it did feel like we had a good run.
Absolutely.
And maybe it is time for a little bit of a change. And I called TJ when this opportunity arose with Channel 9. And I didn't know if I wanted to do it or not, but I wanted him to know that I was thinking about it at least.
Right.
And when I called him, he said, well, that's great because I feel like maybe it's time for me to have a change too.
I remember.
And so that gave me some peace of mind to know that even if we decided to do this, he was okay with it. And so I think both of us were feeling the same thing, that even though we enjoy this, it's been a long time and it was time for a new challenge for both of us. And I'm so excited to go back to 9. I never thought I would go back. I had 12, I think it was, great years there. I interned there and did not have any, intention necessarily of trying to get back into local television. But when the opportunity came along, I thought, wow, what a great full circle opportunity.
Absolutely.
To start there as an intern with Bill.
Yes.
Chris Harrison. Even though, to be back now as the sports director it's an honor.
Absolutely.
And hopefully I can do a good job.
Oh, I have no doubt that you will. Like I said, my husband is a poke, but he loves listening to you and Plank. And, of course, knowing Plank a little bit more on a personal level helps a bit, but he loves listening to your calls, and he will listen to OU games if he's driving somewhere or whatever, and there's not something OSU going on. He's always listening to you. So I think that you have the ability to capture an audience outside of Sooner fans as well. But for me anyway, I feel like it would be so hard. I mean, you're going to have to be unbiased about the teams and the colors and all the things. And, of course, talking about Thunder and things like that will be pretty easy, but you're going to have to give an equal playing field, so to speak, to OSU, which I have no doubt that you will. I have no doubt that you will in a very classy way. It would be a struggle for me because I would be back there making faces. So props to you for being able to be professional.
I'm going to have to watch the volume of red ties that I wear and
for sure.
things like that. But it won't be, I don't think it'll be that hard for me. Yeah. If I had to be impartial about Texas, that would be very difficult.
Absolutely.
I think we can all agree on that.
Absolutely.
But it will probably be an adjustment for some Sooner fans if they ever hear me say something nice about Oklahoma State.
True.
That'll be hard for them. But no, it'll be it's just about being professional, and we'll see. I feel like it's gonna go well.
I think it will. I do think it will. I think collectively as a state, I can't think of anyone else better for the job until them asking you. I know I'm biased and partial. But
Thank
I mean,
you.
to be honest, and my husband agreed. He was so excited when we talked about it when it all came out, and yeah, so we're very
Thank you.
excited for you. We're gonna have to start tuning back in a little bit more to
Good.
Newsline. So
Good.
we
It's already
definitely will.
working.
I'm
Yeah,
so
help
excited.
out my
Yes.
ratings.
Yes, I will. I will. Okay, so tell me a little bit. I know I've heard it before, and everyone probably has, but refresh my memory a little bit. Like, where did you start as far as your radio career? Like, how did you get started doing that, and then your progression over the years?
I went to Southern Nazarene University in Bethany, and was a broadcast journalism major, and got a little taste of calling games there my senior year. I was on the basketball team, but I wasn't any good. And my coach knew what I wanted to do. And so my senior year, instead of playing basketball, he let me be a part of the broadcast crew. And so I learned how to call games, basketball games, and loved it. Just fell head over heels. I didn't know exactly what kind of broadcasting I wanted to go into. But when I started calling games, I thought this is the most fun a human being can have and still get paid.
Yes.
I started working there in 1999. I kept calling games for Southern Nazarene after I graduated for another 4 or 5 years or so. They started football, they started baseball, so I got to learn how to call those sports. And then I stepped away for several years because I went to Channel 9. While I was at 9 in the 2000s, early 2000s, mid 2000s, I got to know the folks at OU and filled in for some softball and baseball and women's basketball games from time to time when their play-by-play voices were out. And then the sideline job came open, and was fortunate enough to get hired for that. And that was heaven. I thought I was working with Bob Berry and Merv Johnson, and was a part of my favorite team's broadcast crew, and that was the greatest thrill. And then Bob announced he was going to retire, and in 2011 they hired me to be the play-by-play voice, which was a big step of faith because I did not have as deep of a resume as a lot of people who had applied for that job. And so I will forever be grateful to Joe Castiglione and President Bourne and even Bob Stoops for seeing something in me that they wanted me to be a part of that. And they changed my life. They changed my life because I have the greatest job in the world. And I would be like a kid in a candy store if I was the play-by-play voice of, another major Division I team around the country or a professional team or whatever. But the fact that it's my team, fact that it's the Sooners that I grew up loving and rooting for, the fact that I get to be their play-by-play voice, nobody gets to do that, and so it's just such a dream come true.
Absolutely. Well, I can think of so many calls that you've done over the years that I will listen to 1,000 times. And I love when we get the video, the play-by-play, and we get to hear your voice with it, like the TV with your voice.
You.
That's my favorite. So what do you think, just over the years, like what's some of your favorite calls that you can remember?
It's so when you hear your own voice back, it's hard. It's a little harder. I would say I don't know if I necessarily have favorites. I have a few that when I hear them back, I think, okay, that's not too bad. There are a bunch where either I feel like I could have said something better, or I didn't quite, what I said didn't match the moment, or and you're just never quite satisfied. But there are a few through the years. I thought the touchdown that won it against Texas, the Kennedy Brooks touchdown, was one that I was pretty happy with. I think in the end, when we went to the College World Series in 2022, I was pretty happy with that one. So, I don't know. But when Buddy was here, there was a few moments that when we went to the Final Four that I thought were okay. But I think that's more for fans to decide. I'm a little more critical of myself. I could easily name for you the ones I butchered. Those easily come to mind. But
I understand.
The other ones are a little harder to remember.
Well, it came up in my memories today on Facebook or something. I share so much OU content about all the things for years. But one of the plays from that baseball season when we went to Omaha, and Kendall Pettis, which I've loved hearing him on with you this season.
Yeah.
He's been so much fun. And I've talked about this several times. I had Carson Atwood on a while back, and we talked about this play. And Carly Murray, we talked about it as well. But Kendall going over the wall to make that catch, and that was one of my favorites for sure. And that was 3 years ago today.
Wow.
So isn't that crazy, right?
Yeah, that was a great catch. He was an incredible defensive outfielder.
Yes, he was.
And I thoroughly enjoyed working with him this year. What a treat. He was so fun and refreshing and naive and entertaining and everything. He was just a joy to work with.
It was, I believe, in Chapel Hill. I think it wasn't long ago, so it had to have been in Chapel Hill, when he was just like hollering. I don't remember what had happened, and he was literally just over there hollering, and it was the best. And I mean, you're on the air, and you're trying to be on the fly and be professional, but he was just so excited he couldn't contain himself. I loved it.
Couldn't help it.
I loved it.
Couldn't help it.
One of my most, this is fairly recent, I know there's more from over the years, but the call with Billy Bowman, was it from BYU? When he ran back, I can't remember.
BYU, he had the long touchdown return.
Yes, and it was Billy.
Yeah. I got it. Enrique, who does our Spanish broadcast, was the best at that. I mean,
that was awesome. Yes.
His Billy calls are iconic, and I always look forward to the Spanish highlights coming out after a game. I don't know what they're saying most of the time, but it's wildly entertaining.
There's some good ones, and that's one that sticks out to me with Enrique. Yeah, he's done some great ones over the years for sure. So what are some of the best or like your favorite stadiums that you've gone to?
Man, that's one of the coolest parts of the job, you know, as a sports fan, to get to go see some of these iconic venues that you've seen on television your whole life, and atmospheres and crowds and cities that I've never been to before. It's really been a treat this year to travel the SEC for the first time. And most of these places that we're going, I've never been to Auburn, Alabama, or Athens, Georgia. So that's been cool. I think that some of them that come to mind, Notre Dame, several years ago, we played a football game there. That was a pinch me moment. I thought the atmosphere at Tennessee, and I'm so excited we're going back there this year, but back when the overtime win with Baker at Tennessee in front of 100 and how many ever thousand people was an incredible setting, and the football game lived up to it. The Rose Bowl, we've been there twice, and once for the Rose Bowl game, and that's one of those where you're just kind of, you're like, I can't believe I've seen this my whole life. I can't believe I'm in this. There's the San Gabriel Mountains that I always hear about. You know, one that was very special to me is Hinkle Fieldhouse, where Butler plays. I went to high school in Indiana, and my favorite movie of all time is Hoosiers. And the movie, the championship game in Hoosiers is set in Hinkle Fieldhouse. And it is an old gymnasium in Indiana, very classic old gymnasium in Indiana. And it's legendary. And we got to play there in the NCAA tournament during COVID. The Gonzaga game, the second round game, was in Hinkle Fieldhouse. So that was a cool one that may have been a little off the radar. Fog Allen Fieldhouse is special. Omaha is special. There's so many of them through the years that just being at a place like the University of Oklahoma, we get big time games in big time venues. We get to go to the Big House next year, and
that's going to be exciting.
Never been to Michigan for football before, so I'm leaving some out. But yeah, that is really one of my favorite parts of the job, is when the schedule comes out every year. Football, basketball, baseball. I look over and go, all right, where do I get to go this year? And it's a thrill.
That's fun. My husband and I went out to the Rose Bowl when we played UCLA there, I think 2019. And again, like you said, it's just being in the venue itself and looking at the backdrop and thinking, I can't believe I'm looking at this.
Right.
I can imagine how you felt being in the press box. And BYU, we went out there as well.
Beautiful.
And that was so gorgeous, so gorgeous. Yeah. So we are planning to go to Michigan next year. That's kind of on our list of places to go. Looking forward to that one. And I still still really want to get to Allen Fieldhouse. I never made it up there. And so I told my husband, since he's a Poke, we're going to have to pick, a time when OSU's playing up there and go, because he also would love to go there. So yeah, those kind of stick out to me. But yeah, we actually road tripped to Ole Miss last year. And again, it's cool just to go to these new places that I would probably not normally go to. And
sure.
There's so many great opportunities. Tennessee's on the list for us as well to make it out to. So it's going to be exciting the next few years as we get to make all the rounds to all the places.
Yeah. One of the things that's really jumped out to me about the SEC is, and we knew this going in, but when you go to, as you experienced at, I'm sure you went by the Grove, but wherever you go on the road, they are as passionate about their teams as we are about ours. And that wasn't always the case maybe in the past. And
so true.
It's special to go to places and opposing venues where, it matters as much to them as it does to you. So I think we're living in the right neighborhood now.
I think so. I agree. We had a great time at the Grove. It was crazy. So we actually had some friends who had a daughter that went to Ole Miss, and so they had a tailgate spot there. And so they just kind of used that as a meeting place for a lot of different OU people that were coming in. So we knew somebody else that was invited there as well. So we made our way that way. They were actually across the street from the Grove, which was kind of nice, I have to admit, because the Grove was so packed. Like it was very hard to, try to navigate, but they had little streets, like street names. And so I thought, okay, well, that's some next level tailgating. The Ole Miss people were so friendly, but a lot of them were asking us about coming to Norman this fall and, what they should do and eat and stay and all of that. And I was just like, I am OU, Sooner born, Sooner bred, alumni. Like the blood doesn't run any deeper, but I'm going to tell you right now, our tailgating needs to kick it up about 14 levels to even remotely get close to what they do there. And it was an experience for sure. But I'm so glad that we had the opportunity to do that, because it's neat to experience those fan bases that are extremely passionate, because it's definitely there in Mississippi for sure.
For sure.
So I know there's been some basketball games announced for the fall, like away games and the ACC matchup and where OU will be playing. Wake Forest, yes. Yeah. Okay. So we have to go to Wake Forest, and then the women's team is coming into Norman. Okay. So that will probably be a new place for you.
It will be. We have, for whatever reason, spent a ton of time in the Carolinas in the last year.
Yes. Oh, my goodness.
And so we're going back. We're going back to North Carolina next year. We just played the baseball regional in Chapel Hill. The NCAA basketball tournament this year, we were in Raleigh, North Carolina, which is the same area. Wake Forest is in the same area. We had a baseball series this year at South Carolina.
Oh, yes.
So I think there's one more I'm missing. But, we have gone east. Charlotte.
Yeah.
We went to Charlotte for basketball the last several years, including this year. So, North Carolina and South Carolina have been very popular, and it's a beautiful country.
Yes.
But Wake Forest, we've never played them in any of my sports that I call in my time. So I'm excited to see a new campus for sure, and a new arena.
Yes, for sure. That will be a lot of fun. I am really excited about the basketball season. We've gotten a lot of great guys in the portal and coming in, and I'm a big fan of Dayton Forsyth. I'm a Sparky.
Yeah.
I'm a little partial to him, though. I'm really good friends with his aunt, and I know his family, and his brothers, like the whole family is so talented, and they are so fun to watch. So I'm looking forward to him hopefully getting a bigger role and a little more playing time this year, and just the new kids coming in, and I think it's going to be exciting. I'm a big Porter Moser fan, so I really, really, really hope that we have a great year for him.
Yeah. Dayton's such a great young man, too. And we saw on a couple of occasions last year how explosive he can be.
Yes.
And so I think you're right. I think he's going to be a starter. I think he's going to have a breakout year this year. And he loves the Sooners. He's an Oklahoma kid. And I reached out to him after the season when the transfer portal stuff was going on. It's like, you're staying, right? And he's like, of course I'm staying. Where else am I going to go? I've always dreamed of being at OU.
Yes.
I'm with you. I think that they did a great job in the portal. I think they have added, Nigel Pack especially coming in is going to make a big time difference. And Porter probably needs to have a good year, and hopefully,
Yes.
I think we're all rooting for him to have a
Absolutely.
great year. Yeah.
He is. He is. I've never met him. But my husband and I went to the Final Four in San Antonio when he was at Loyola Chicago and played in the Final Four that year. I think that was 2018. I just remember following him all during that. We kind of attached ourselves to them as the underdog that season. And he was fun to watch. And so when OU grabbed him up, I was very, very excited. And I know it's been kind of an up and down few years for him, but like you said, I think we all know he needs to have a good year, and we want him to have a good year because
Sure.
I think he's a great guy. I think he's a good coach. So fingers crossed for him.
I'm with you.
What are you looking forward to for football as far as we go to Tennessee. So I know you said you were looking forward to that. South Carolina. We go to South Carolina this year. So reunite with Shane Beamer.
Right. I've never called a football game. We've never played at South Carolina. They've got some fun traditions there that we get to experience for the first time. I think we have found out it's going to be a morning game there. So I think it's maybe a little more electric at night, but that's okay. Morning games on the road, I don't mind. We get home at a decent hour from those.
True.
But we go to Alabama again this year. Obviously, that's going to be special. Tennessee is, it's an amazing venue, but it's right on the river. That's what makes it unique. It's right on the Tennessee River, and so they have what they call the Vol Navy, where a lot of people come to the game in their boats, and they tailgate on their boats.
That's awesome.
And so right up next to the stadium, there's just this, there's boat after boat after boat, and people just jump from one to the next, and they've got their Tennessee flags on them, and there will be some boats with OU flags on them. And last time we were there, the radio crew got invited by a Sooner fan that had a boat there to come on their boat. So we're out on the OU boat. And it's literally like right there's a Tennessee boat, and there's another one. It's just it's a unique setting that you don't get to experience anywhere else. So very much looking forward to going back there. I don't know if the game can possibly live up to the one that we had there with Baker, but hopefully so. Yeah, hopefully so. And then we're missing one road game. What are we missing? At Tennessee. Maybe it's the Texas. I think we're the road team at Texas this year.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the other one, I believe.
Yeah, okay. So the 2:30 kickoff for OU Texas, I kind of have mixed feelings about, and I know a lot of people are like all in, huge fan of it, and that's totally fine. And I'm not normally a fan of the early kickoffs for a lot of reasons, but for some reason, I liked it for OU Texas, but I get it with all the things in SEC. Greg Sankey likes it at 2:30. So do you have a preference on what time you normally prefer there to be a game?
Specifically OU Texas or any of them?
Or just in general?
Yeah, I think I like night games at home and day games on the road. Yeah. I think that, Owen Field at night is obviously special.
Yes.
And electric, and there's always a little more buzz in the building when you play at night. And I know the fans love it. You get all day to tailgate and party in Norman. And so by the time a night kickoff rolls around, it's popping off.
For sure.
Selfishly, on the road, it's all the earlier kickoff, the better.
Yeah, you said
because,
that. You get home.
Yeah, you get home. Usually the opposing crowd isn't quite as electric.
True.
For an 11 a.m. kickoff, so maybe it's a little bit of a benefit to the football team. And, we're coming home after the game regardless of when they kick it off. So getting home at 7 or 8 o'clock at night as opposed to 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
So true, yes.
Makes life a little easier the next day.
For sure.
So I always root for early kickoffs. As it pertains to OU Texas, I probably lean toward you. If they let me pick the kick time, selfishly, I'd pick 11 a.m. Because I'm going to have to fight traffic on the way home that night, and I can at least get home at a decent hour. However, I'm not out on the state fair. I'm not going and playing the games and getting the corn dogs and stuff. I have to be in the booth at 6 o'clock in the morning when it's still dark outside.
Yes.
And so if I was doing that, if I was a fan and wanting to take in all that is OU Texas, I would probably pick 2:30 so that I could. I know I think my wife enjoys it more when her and the kids go down, because you can have some fun before the game kicks off. So I have no problem at all with it being at 2:30. Probably has a little bit more buzz too because it's a little later in the day, and the fourth quarter, the sun is setting.
Yeah.
It's got a little sizzle in the air. The lights are coming on. So that's special too. It's hard to mess up OU Texas.
That's true. That's true. There's truly nothing like it. And I tell
Yeah.
everybody, you need to go at least once, even if, you have some reason why you think you don't want to or whatever. You got to go because it's a whole nother level. But I would love to have a night game for OU Texas, but that is not going to happen for a lot of reasons, nor should it.
Yeah. I think you're right.
But yeah, I usually park, I just come down for the day as well for OU Texas. And so I usually park north of Dallas and ride the Dart. And so I have gotten so used to leave at 5 a.m., get on the 7 a.m. train, get to Fair Park, eat my corn dog for breakfast, go watch the team come in and all the things. And so last year with the 2:30 kick, I was like, what am I supposed to do?
Your routine was off.
I was all thrown off. And so I ended up leaving only about an hour later than what I used to do. Well, probably about 2 hours. I think I left 2 hours later. And so anyway, but getting back out, the traffic was awful. I felt like it was a longer day. I feel like I didn't really sleep in more than I would have at an 11 kick. But I got home so much later and I was just like, I don't like this. But that's my selfish reasoning behind it. But I know there's a lot of reasons why 2:30 is a better kick time. So it's not about
honestly, I don't worry about kickoff times too much. I know it's a popular topic for Twitter and sports radio and stuff. I'm lucky that I get to be there, and whatever time they want to play it, I'm excited that I get to be there. So that's one of those things where complaining about a college football game kick time for me it's probably not a real good look. I get it if you're a fan and you want to have as much time as possible to tailgate, knock yourself out.
Right. I have a lot of friends that are big tailgaters, especially for home games. And, they like the late games, the late afternoon or evening games.
Sure.
And I totally get that. I do. I'm not normally a big tailgater. So, I might pop in with my friends a couple times. But I'm like you. Like, you just tell me when to show up.
Yeah.
I'm going to be there regardless. So I am thankful, though, I will say that our season tickets for football are in the southwest corner. So we're in the shade. And so that makes a big difference. I will totally admit, if I were across the stadium in the sun all the time, we used to be in the upper deck, it makes a difference. And
for sure.
So I will say that I'm the one, I go in when the gates open, I'm sitting there watching warm-ups and all the things, but I'm in the shade. So it makes a huge difference, and I will say that. I'm a little spoiled, I guess, or whatever. I'm thankful to be in the shade, but that does make a difference. So, okay, so one more thing I knew for sure that I wanted to ask you, and I'm not trying to get you in trouble, but who are, just off the top of your mind, like maybe some of your favorite players that you just across all sports, maybe that you've ever called, like if it's a certain play of a player or just like an interaction you've had with them or a memory, just literally anything, like maybe your top 4 or 5 players across the board.
No, I love that question. The two that are easily popped to mind are Buddy and Baker. Both of them had larger than life personalities. They were always in a good mood. They were always more than happy to help us with what our jobs are, which, they were great sound bites.
Yes.
Happy to do interviews. Buddy probably has maybe a slightly more special place in my heart just because I got to watch him up close a little more than Baker. When we travel with basketball, we're kind of embedded with the team. We're on the airplane with them. We're in the hotel with them. We eat with them. We watch film with them. And when he got to OU, he came off the bench. He was just another guy. He was not anywhere close to, nor did anybody have any idea he would be a superstar someday. And to watch that development, to watch that take place in his life from a guy that nobody even knew what his name was to everywhere we would go his senior year, he was a rock star.
Oh my goodness,
like, they would be waiting for him in airports, and when we'd get off buses, everybody wanted his autograph. And that was really, really cool to watch the transformation take place in his life. Baker was a superstar and knew how to be a superstar and still does, and was a fantastic interview. Yeah, we were just talking about Kendall Pettis, but Kendall's one of my all-time favorites. He was here for 5 years, never turned down an interview, was always polite, was always yes sir, no sir, all this, and was a fabulous baseball player.
Yes.
So he will always be one of my favorites as well. But, pretty almost 99% of them have been a delight to work with.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And, it's harder for football guys just because there's so much media obligations.
Oh, my goodness.
And there's so many people pulling them in different directions because of
Yes.
the magnitude of the sport.
Yes.
And so we don't get to be around them as much. And sometimes when we do interview them, we kind of blend in and are just another member of the media.
Right.
Whereas you get to develop really close relationships in basketball and baseball, and Chris would tell you, I'm sure, softball as well.
Sure, yes.
Those are the ones probably, other than Baker, the basketball and baseball relationships are the ones that I remember the most.
That makes sense. I've always been a big fan of Baker, and his daughter was born on my birthday.
Wow.
So, fun fact.
Yeah.
But I've always said that I feel like we could be friends. Like, I wish he was like my little brother or something, because I feel like our personality is very similar. Like, sometimes we may not have a filter, but we try to, but we're just loud and passionate about all the things. And so he's always been one that I'm like, I really want to be his friend. Someday I want to meet him. It's on my list of things to do. So yeah, hopefully I get to do that someday. But
that's awesome.
I love to follow, and I don't know if you have much time to even do this, but I love following our Sooners past college as they've moved on to the next level. So we've actually gone, we went out to Philly last year to see Jalen. We actually saw him in Dallas a couple years ago as well. I've been to see Baker in Cleveland, and actually in Foxborough, I was a big Tom Brady fan. And so I believe it may have been 2018, Baker, when he was at Cleveland, was playing at Foxborough against Tom Brady. And I was like, we got to go to Gillette,
Wow.
And so that was a lot of fun. And then we've been to Tampa as well. And we're going out to Phoenix this fall in November to see Kyler.
That's awesome.
So, and I tried to catch our basketball guys, Austin, Reeves, like when the Lakers have come to town for the Thunder.
Yeah.
I've seen Trae Young, of course, and Buddy.
Yeah.
So I love to follow our guys and girls at the next level. And so that's
going to get to watch Jeremiah Fears now.
I know. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I saw where he was invited to the green room.
Yeah.
And so I can't wait to see where he ends up. I'll definitely have to add him to my list.
Yeah.
So I don't really have, I mean, of course I watch the Thunder, but other than that, pro teams. And I try to follow some of our baseball guys too. I know they're not as well publicized or whatever, and I'm not a huge pro baseball person for the most part, but I followed Jonathan Gray when he pitched in the World Series, and Cade Horton with his debut not long ago. I just love seeing those guys at the next level, and I think it's cool that OU is represented across the board. So I don't really have like a team that I follow. I just follow players. And actually the other day when I was talking with Plank, he had on a Creed Humphrey shirt. And I said, "You're not a Chiefs fan. Why are you wearing that shirt?" And he said, "Well, but I'm a Creed fan." And which is basically how I have a CD shirt. I have Baker shirts, all the things, but I'm not a Dallas fan, but I have a CD shirt,
Sure.
And so
that's cool.
Yeah. So that's pretty much how I approach the pro sports, is just across the board. I look for our guys and try to watch accordingly. But right now I'm rooting for the Thunder. Well, I don't want to keep you much longer. Is there anything else you want to share or talk about before I let you go?
No, it's an honor to get to be on with you. And,
thank you.
It's summertime now. So looking forward to a little bit of, I need a couple of naps.
Yes,
and then it'll be football season before we know it. So I think Brent has put together a great team. I love the addition of Jim Nagy. What they have done in the portal, the incoming class, the guys they were able to keep. And so I'm very, very excited about this football season.
Me
and,
too.
Like I said, a couple of short naps and it'll be here.
You are exactly right. Well, like I told you, I was waiting for baseball to die down before I hollered at you to come on, because I know it has to be so exhausting for you, because football and basketball overlap, and basketball and baseball overlap, and I know Chad McKee and others fill in, to keep things covered. But you and Plank both, I mean, y'all are all over the place. plays. He's on the radio at 1 a.m. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, he's a madman.
He is a madman. But you guys are just fantastic at what you do. And I'm pretty sure I speak for all Sooner fans in saying thank you for doing and being passionate about it. And like you said, it's like your dream job. And that's amazing. I love that for you. And it comes through your voice on the radio. And
very nice of you.
I love listening to you. And I'm just so thankful. I had a chance to meet Bob Berry before he passed. He had autographed his book that he wrote. And he was at an OU basketball game. Oh gosh, I think like 08 or 09, maybe 10. I can't remember exactly, but I have a photo with him autographing that book. And I remember when he retired, and I was so sad because I grew up listening to him with my dad. And I thought, no one can ever fill those shoes.
Sure.
And they can't. He had his own pair of shoes to fill.
Yep.
But I will tell you, and anybody that I've ever talked to completely agrees, like, I think that you have beyond exceeded coming into that and surpassing anything that was ever expected, because Bob Berry was the best, and you can most certainly agree with that. But you are also the best in your own realm. So
thank you.
am honored that you took the time to visit with me, and I'm so thankful. And I'm looking forward to a new football and basketball season, and lots more great, fantastic calls coming from you.
You've been very, very nice, and I appreciate everything. And thanks for letting me hang out on your podcast. I look forward to doing it again, hopefully sometime.
Absolutely. I would love to have you back. I hope you all enjoyed that awesome interview with the amazing Toby Rowland. I appreciate his kindness again. And then also, I love the fact that he said he would come back sometime. And I would love to have him back on the show in the future. So I'm looking forward to that. So for this week's Sooner Headlines of the Week, in case you missed it this past week, we celebrated 1 year in the SEC. And I have a couple of headlines that I wanted to read that was shared online by the OU Athletics account. A few highlights from our first full season in the SEC. 7th Natty for our OU women's gymnastics team, and Jordan Bowers takes the NCAA all-around title and the Honda Award. NCAA champs for OU track, Agur Dewal, indoor triple jump, Pippi Lada Enoch, heptathlon, BJ Green, outdoor triple jump, and Ralford Mullings in discus. Emery Donnelly claimed horizontal bar title as OU men's gymnastics finished top 3 for the 23rd time in 24 seasons. Somebody give Coach Mark Williams a statue, please. OU softball, SEC regular season champs, tourney co-champs, and Women's College World Series semifinals. OU men's golf, NCAA match play, again, nation leading 7 times since 2016, while OU women's golf returned to the NCAA championship field. OU women's basketball made its return to the Sweet 16. 4th straight NCAA tourney appearance for OU baseball, and Kyson Witherspoon named first team All-American. OU volleyball, NCAA bound for the first time since 2019, and Alexis Shelton earns third-team All-American selection. OU women's tennis earns number 6 seed, and Julia Garcia Ruiz earns All-American honors. OU men's tennis lands 15 straight NCAA appearances. OU men's basketball, 13-0 start, men's March Madness return, and Jeremiah Fears went number 7 in the NBA draft. OU wrestling, best winning percentage since 2016, 5 NCAA qualifiers. And OU football, 26 straight bowl games. Danny Stutzman earned a consensus All-American honor. For softball, last weekend, we got a Go Boomer from Coach Patty. And when we get that from the GOAT, we all know what that means. We got a new transfer portal addition from former Ole Miss pitcher Mayali Uchenna. We added her to the pitching staff for next spring. We have 8 pitchers in the circle, with Miley. Sydney Berzon is our new LSU transfer, Kirsten Deal, Peyton Monticelli returning, Audrey Lowry returning, and then our new freshman redshirt Sophia Bordy, Berkeley Zakay, which is Riley's sister, and Alyssa Parker coming in. So we'll be stacked with Jen Rocha's staff for the spring. Also, don't forget, soccer camps are in July with Coach Matt Mott. The schedule's out now for the fall games as well. The games start in August, so if you are a soccer fan or interested in supporting that team, you can check out the soccer camps for your kiddos in July, and come join me at a game this fall. I'm planning to attend Bedlam on Sunday, August 17th, and the Texas game on Sunday, October 19th at home in Norman. For our women's golf, we have incoming Sooner freshman Ellison Lundquist. She claimed the medalist honors at Neshonoc Valley GC and punched her ticket to the U.S. Immature tour. So congratulations to her. And our Sparks softball team, I know that they are not technically OU, but I like to draw attention to them because we do have a lot of Sooners on that team. They played in Colorado all last week in a tournament, and Jocelyn Allo, it was announced today that she was crowned the MVP of the TC Colorado Pro Cup. And they won that tournament that they were playing in. And again, just Jada Coleman, Riley Boone, Elena Torres, just the normal home runs and awesome plays from them. Kinsey Hansen, just so much fun to watch that team if you get a chance to get out. They will be back in Oklahoma City at home at Oklahoma Christian University on Sunday, July the 20th. I will be there, so I would love to see you there. Hit me up if you come. Not just come out and grab a seat in the shade and come support the Spark. It's pretty short and sweet this week. There's not a ton going on with the 4th of July and everything. If I overlooked something, I do apologize. I did see our incoming freshman gymnasts were moving in this weekend, so that's pretty cool. That means things are ramping up. The summer is starting to kind of wind down a little bit. SEC Media Day is in a couple of weeks. But okay, so for our Sooner Fun Fact of the Week, during the Sooner softball team NCAA record 53-game winning streak, which ended in the 2023 season, 24 of those victories came against ranked opponents. Pretty incredible. I don't know that run will be topped for a very, very long time. Coach Patty Gasso, the GOAT, and that team of record-breaking seniors are just incredible. Short and sweet Sooner headlines of the week this week. Again, I really hope I did not forget or overlook anything. I know it's been a crazy week with the holiday and people traveling, but I hope you all enjoyed that awesome interview with Toby Rowland, and it's a great week coming up to start July. Like I said, SEC Media Days will be here, and we're on the downhill to football, and it'll be here before we know it. So hope you guys have a great week. Boomer Sooner always, and I will see you next Wednesday where we talk sports.